9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Howdy, CROC Nation. Dr. Tommy and Ellie here with you with another amazing CROC podcast. On the other side of the computer glass, Angel Santana. Have faith, let it begin. Angel, how are you, my friend, my little brother?
As father of two and watching a lot of Dora this week, I am delicioso. I am great. How are you?
Are you doing some Dora the Exploring?
That's it. I am sleeping and eating and just thinking all about Dora.
How is young Ariel doing in her schooling?
Doing well. Kindergarten is nice. We went to the family, what do you call it? The first ever open house. Boy, that brought back memories for me. And it was pretty good. Good times, my friend. Good times. How was your vacation?
It was wonderful, but we have to do a podcast on, do you remember who your kindergarten teacher was?
We'll definitely do that.
Yeah, we should.
And I actually do.
That's not what we're going to do tonight.
Okay.
So, Angel, I was thinking to myself, what do we need on this CROC podcast this week? This is the week after Labor Day. Summer is over. Weather is beautiful. We've been hitting some really heavy topics. We talked about toxicity last week. We had that beautiful podcast with James and Teresa, that love story of that wonderful man who recently lost his struggle to cancer. And we did a couple of episodes on fighting with your insurance companies and getting prior authorizations. So what I thought would be what the doctor would order tonight is, how about a change of pace? How about a nice, light and airy, quick, uplifting podcast? What do you think about that?
I like uplifting podcasts.
You like quick and easy. That's what you like.
Listen, on a Friday or Saturday night when we're sitting back trying to get our ducks in a row, it is nothing better than a nice, quick and easy, painless, and an amazing podcast. And there's nothing better than ours, my friend.
Yeah, well, listen, we have to do this work. It's for our survivors. They deserve it.
Absolutely.
So I'm driving to work, and lo and behold, I'm in my own little world, getting ready. My mind is going a million miles an hour, and I see a billboard. Now, I don't know about you, Angel. I love billboards. I think
do.
Billboards, yeah. I mean, I think that they're really something of a bygone era, and I love that we still have them. They're getting fancier. Sometimes they become electronic, like a TV set, and they change. But the old-fashioned billboards, where they, I guess they had billboard people, professionals that would put up whoever would pay for that space. They would put up with the paste and the whole thing. And I saw the cutest billboard, and I don't remember, nor even if I did, I wouldn't tell you the name of the group who sponsored this billboard. But it said something very cute. It really struck me, and struck me enough that we're going to do a podcast about it. It said, "The doctor will get to know you now." So you know the expression, "The doctor will see you now."
Yeah.
They kind of turned the phrase and said, "The doctor will get to know you now." And I thought, finally, somebody is listening. Someone is listening to our podcast. Someone is getting our message, because it's not about the doctor will see you now. It really is all about the doctor should be getting to know you now. So I figured with your help, Angel, we'll have a quick, wonderful, uplifting, non-stress related, very light and airy podcast about our interactions with our doctors the first time. And we've done a few podcasts in this vein, and I thought that this billboard inspired me to do just that, to kind of take it to the next level. So you know what our imperative is here at the CROC podcast. We want our patients to feel like they're human. We don't want them to feel like they're pieces of meat. We want them to know that we recognize the fact that they are people. They are people with a story. They are people with souls. They are people with love and loss and tragedies and triumphs. And we want to really speak to the caretakers, to the doctors, the nurse practitioners, the practice extenders, the physical therapists, the nutritionists, the speech therapists, everyone, to know that if you really want to be a great doctor or caretaker, then you need to get to know your patient. And you really need to ask questions. You need to listen to responses, and you really need to get to know these people. Because I have to tell you, in 35 years, Angel, we've met patients who were politicians, big time politicians, big time entertainers, big time athletes, poets, writers, Olympians, farmers. We have met and done a podcast with someone who has had breakfast with the president. We have met patients who have met the Pope. We have patients who have made important discoveries and inventions. But you know who my favorite patients are of all of them, Angel?
What's that?
Just our regular, common, regular folk. People whose essences and whose major imperative in life is to take care of their family, whose major imperative in life is to just, really simple, regular people that just get through life, go to work, come home, go on a vacation 1 week a year. Those are the people that I love the most. And I've taken care of some really important people, but my favorite are the regular folk. And this is a story I want to tell, to share about when I was a young doctor in the day. And I think this is pretty much, I would say, emblematic of how important it is to get to know your patients, but it's also emblematic of the area that we practice. So we practice in I guess, socioeconomically depressed region, which is interesting, but it's not a city environment. It's more of a rural environment. So one day we get to see our patients. And in those days, we had a very simple department. We had one little exam room, and the person that we would see for their on treatment would be going in the exam room, and then someone would be in the on deck seat to go into the room afterwards. And they would kind of come off the machine, go into the exam room, and the next person that comes off the machine would go on the on deck chair, and then they would switch places. And this particular day, I was talking to a man who was just one of those regular folk, and I had gotten to know him, which I'm telling everybody that's important for you to do. And Easter was coming up, and I said to him, I said, listen, and he had nothing, Angel. He had zero. He didn't have any resources. He didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. And I said, listen, man, it's Easter. What can I do for you? Is there anything I could do to make your Easter better? And he said, when I was a kid living, my parents were Italian immigrants, and they would go down to the butcher, down to the stockyard, and they would get a sheep's head, and they would put the sheep's head in the broiler, and it was like an Italian delicacy where the sheep's head would be made sort of as a delicacy for a holiday. And guess who's sitting in the on deck seat? A sheep farmer. So I brought the sheep farmer into the room, and I said, Betty, meet Nick. Nick, meet Betty. Betty, when you doing your slaughtering? She goes, on Wednesday. I said, I need a sheep's head. She says, you got it. And I brokered the deal. The only way those types of things can happen is where we live, right? But the story isn't important. The story is I knew enough about each of the people to be able to make both of their lives better by knowing who they were. So I just thought that was such a cute story. I see you laughing over there. So I'm hoping you thought it was a cute story too.
It really wasn't that bad.
Yeah. So, what would you think the counter argument would be about getting to know your patients? Because a lot of doctors, sort of push back when it comes to getting to know their patients.
The counter, I mean, like, not getting to know their patient and just treating them like a number.
Exactly. But I mean, I think the counter argument, which I think is lame, by the way, is, a lot of doctors hide behind their stiff white coats. I think they hide behind that scientific detachment. They feel that they don't want to, invite any possibility of misunderstanding in the relationship. They don't want to be sued. They're afraid of malpractice. There's always the temptation of taking advantage of a patient. So I'll give you another great story. So I won't mention the doctor's name, but a colleague of mine who got to know this really like when I say superstar, like one of the most superstar musicians. And he got sort of friendly with him, and on his deathbed, he went over to do a house call and had the guy sign his guitar for his son. And took a picture of him doing it. So for authenticity. So I think a lot of doctors feel like, hey, we want to draw a line. That guy, I won't mention his name, but obviously is a bubblehead. And, anybody who's listening to this podcast knows what I'm talking about. And the other thing is an interesting argument, and it's called transference. Transference is a psychological term where just say you're seeing a therapist and you're having all sorts of trouble and you had a lot of mommy issues or daddy issues, and you're talking to the therapist, and the therapist will temporarily take on the role of that parental figure. So you'll be transferring your feelings through him, like channeling him, and he sort of, or she takes on that role temporarily to make you feel safe and loved and let you do that repair that we were sort of talking about a little bit last week with toxicity, how we do that really inner psychic repair. And then, the transference is complete. And I think a lot of people with the counter argument is really don't get to know your patients. They're trying to limit that transference. And in my opinion, transference in a healthy way is really a good thing. Sometimes the patients who are scared to death and they've just been told they have cancer, sometimes they need somebody who's going to be a cheerleader for them, or someone that they can count on, even if it is someone that they're sort of taking some of their angst and trying to subside it through this transference. That's not necessarily a bad thing. But in my opinion, getting to know your patients is the first step in the cure of your disease, of our beautiful survivor thrivers. For instance, there is data, Angel, to support that there is a strong relationship between your relationship with your healthcare team and your medical outcomes, your results, your longevity, and your response to treatments have been shown again and again to be positively influenced by that relationship that you have with your caregiver. The other thing is it takes zero effort. Angel, my reputation in the area, and people know me for so many different reasons, right, and it's generally in a positive way. And sometimes I have to sit back and it's very wonderful to have that feedback. But I have to tell you, I sometimes feel like such a fraud, because it really, the only reason I stand out is because I just might do one tiny thing more than someone else. It takes such zero effort to get to know your patient. It's almost like it's almost like going, if you want a Wendy's, today's double cheeseburger day, by the way. So if you want a double cheeseburger, but you also want a double quarter pounder, and Wendy's is right next to McDonald's, hate to use a fast food analogy, but you can go to McDonald's and then go to Wendy's. They're right next to each other. There's no effort.
Yes, but you can't put a price on ambiance. And what you provide is more of your environment outweighs what I know what you're trying to say, but that you're not doing much of an effort because that's who you are. But you see, you can't train somebody to be as authentic and genuine and heart giving. And when you have that, it resonates, it shines, it becomes extremely contagious. And that's the difference between the way you do it and the way most people don't do it.
Right. But you would agree, though, that and I see it in your work when you talk to people on the telephone. I mean, if Jonathan Schiller, who's our amazing CEO, comes down to the basement, listens to you talk to people and say, Angel, you're very special, you would just kind of scratch your head and say, well, all I did was be nice to this person. That's really all you did, was maybe be sweet to somebody who was scared, someone who was yelling at you because they were sort of, maybe misplacing their anger on you, and you were able to fix it and make their experience with the hospital a better experience. You would probably shake your head and say, well, thanks, Jonathan, but I really didn't do much. But to your point, though, it's kind of interesting. You kind of stole my thunder. I'll go to point 4 before I go to point 3. You will set the culture for your entire department. So if the hospital wised up and made you the head of all of switchboard, and you were in charge, the culture of the switchboard would change overnight. It would become a warmer, softer, kinder, gentler switchboard with more caring, compassionate people, or the people that were there that might be a little rough around the edges would certainly stream into they would walk toe the line of the new culture that you were setting. And I believe getting to know your patients and showing this concern for your patients sets the entire departmental culture in a really positive way that's very patient centric, where the patient is at the center of your care. And you want to hear something really selfish?
Yeah.
When you do this, when you are nice to somebody and you give them a good experience and you get to know them and you make them feel cared about and feel special, it actually makes you love what you do more. It makes you enjoy your job more. And I don't even like to use the word job when we're talking about taking care of cancer patients, because it's not a job. It's actually a passion, a devotion. It's basically a vocation. It's not a profession. And but you could see that, right, Angel? Those 4 points.
That's what I was going to say before we went back and forth. I was going to also say, as in addition to what I mentioned, you get to the point where because you can't train that, it just comes from within. You don't even feel like you're working. You're doing it's a blessing, because you've been given a gift to do the things you want and enjoy it.
Yeah. And you brought out a really good point. I don't even have it in my notes for tonight, but I'm going to add it in because that's how much you inspired me. You're right. I do have a gift in the sense that God gave me many, many gifts, and he gave me many deficits. But one of the gifts is I really do like speaking to people, talking to people, getting to know people. It's sort of it comes very easy to me. Angel, you would know exactly what I'm talking about, because you and I really are exactly the same in that way. What if you're a caretaker who might be a little awkward or be a little quiet or a little more introverted and may not know how to do that? I'm going to give you some pointers, and it's a good segue into how does it start? It all starts with a simple question. And I'm going to tell you a couple of my intros, and whoever's out there, pick and choose whatever fits. So I will start many conversations by saying, hello, Mrs. Smith. You know what's really sad? I know everything about your left breast, but I don't know anything about you. Or Mr. Jones, I know everything about your prostate gland. How come I don't know what your favorite color is? Or, hey, Mr. Hopkins, I know everything about your right lung, but how come I don't know anything about your family or where you live or where your favorite restaurant is? So sometimes I'll start with that, and that'll make them laugh, and then they'll start giving me some information. Many times, don't be surprised if the patient actually starts to clam up or doesn't know what to say, because no doctor or caretaker has ever asked them that question. I can promise you that. So don't be like freaked out if you feel, oh my God, this is not going well. I'm like a comedian in front of 10,000 people and I'm bombing and I just told the joke and I hear crickets. It's okay. Keep your poise, keep pushing it. You'll get something. I promise. Mm-hmm. Another question, a really good key question or leading question would be, Mrs. Smith, what is your essence? What is the essence of, Geraldine Smith? What is your essence? What makes you you? And if you really start getting them to clam up, you just something simple. Hey, where do you live? I live in Bullville. Where do you live? Angel, you live in Walden. Cool. I know Walden. I love that Chinese restaurant in Walden. As a matter of fact, I think they make the best steamed pork dumplings ever. And I love that sports store. I like to get my fishing gear there. Blah, 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 blah. So that's a really cool thing to ask them what their essence is. Where they live, as I just said. Do you have a family? Do you have kids? Are you married? Who lives in your house with you? Do you have any pets? Are you a dog person or are you a cat person? What are your hobbies? What are your passions? What was the coolest place you've ever been to? Hawaii, this or that, and you'll listen and they'll tell you really cool things. What's your favorite movie? Who's your favorite superhero? What's your favorite baseball team? Who's your favorite author? What's your favorite American muscle car? Where do you go? What's your fishing hole? Are you a bow hunter or are you a rifle hunter? Do you like ducks or you like deer? Have you ever gone elk hunting? Up by us, obviously you guys all know we're up here in the boonies. So Angel, your thoughts? I mean, it's really pretty simple. It's like, getting back to that billboard, really simple podcast, very simple, inspired by the doctor will get to know you now instead of the doctor will see you now. Tell me your thoughts.
It's true what they say, less is more. And what you saw was a standard billboard with a couple of words, and they meant more than what is on the actual board, meaning it's just a couple of words, but when you put them together, it created such a huge impact. And hopefully, I'm praying and hoping that doctors that drive through there will say, do I do that?
Angel, I think I still would like to think that it's our podcast that's making this beautiful shift in the universe, having people take advantage, pay heed to the things we're trying to say. Because at the end of the day, Angel, you know what it's all about? It's about our survivor thrivers. You guys are amazing, amazing people. You don't even know it. You guys right now are in different stages, in different parts of your treatment. Maybe you've just been diagnosed. Maybe you've been a survivor forever. Maybe you're in the middle of all sorts of side effects or having issues or fears or whatever. You guys are incredibly special. I know you don't feel that. You go into a doctor's office and you feel you've been waiting 2 hours and they call you in and they don't even know who you are. You could have been there every day for a week and they don't even know who you are. You don't feel special. They don't make you feel like they know you. You basically walk into a room. The doctor comes in with their white coat. The nurses are, holding the walls up, and basically you spend 2 minutes with them and they don't even really tell you anything. And then all of a sudden you go home and you say, what just happened? Wouldn't it be nice to go into an office where they know your name? Like the show Cheers, where everybody knows your name. Wouldn't it be nice if everybody knew what you were about, what your essence was? Wouldn't it make the experience just that much better? Could it possibly even impact your outcome? You guys are loving. You guys are special. You guys are brave. You guys are amazing. You guys are strong. You guys got this. There's not even a question in my mind. And on behalf of Angel, Have Faith, Let It Begin, on behalf of Rod, Small Biz Up, on behalf of Michael John Benzea and Charlotte Larson, on behalf of the board of directors, we absolutely believe that you are worth all of that, and you are worth that small extra effort for your caretakers to get to know who you are. The doctor will get to know you now. We like to end this podcast the way we end every podcast, by wishing you all a very long, healthy, happy, cancer-free life. May God bless you. May God be with you. Peace.